But in June 1991, Beatles fans in Cornwall were left reeling when Paul McCartney announced 4 impromptu concerts across the world. With his band, Macca would play London, Naples, Barcelona and St. Austell. It might sound unbelievable now to young music fans that a legend like McCartney would choose to play in Cornwall. However, the Cornwall Coliseum at Carlyon-Bay was one of the most respected music venues in the world before it was bulldozed. Starting out as the Riviera Club in the 1960s, it played host to the Pretty Things, Chris Farlow, them, Procol Harum, Herman's Hermits and the Kinks, but it was in the late 70s to late 80s that saw its golden years. One of the 3,000 Paul McCartney tickets which were like gold dust. Just read this list and weep if you weren't there: The Smiths, Ramones, The Clash, Wham, The Jam, Thin Lizzy, Jimmy Page, The Who, Eric Clapton, Elton John, Tina Turner, Duran Duran, Public Image Limited, The Stranglers, Susie and the Banshees, Black Sabbath, Cliff Richard, Iron Maiden, Rainbow, Slade, Bon Jovi, Simple Minds and Big Audio Dynamite were just some of those who played. Towards the end of its days in the 90s, it also saw Suede, Orbital and Fun-Lovin' Criminals fill its cavernous hall. McCartney's performance was in the days before online and phone booking, so fans of the superstar had to queue to get tickets for the 3,000-capacity gig. Excitement was palpable, especially as the show was only announced a couple of days before it was due to take place on June 7. Hundreds of fans camped, slept and queued on the beach to get hold of the tickets for McCartney's first, and, to this day, only, performance in Cornwall and Devon. Keith from Callington was the first in line, having spent 24 hours outside the locked doors of the box office. As Coliseum manager Paul Higgins counted down from 10 to 1 before unleashing McCartney mania on his staff, Keith revealed he was buying the tickets for his wife's birthday. Paul McCartney and his band played to lucky fans at the Cornwall Coliseum in 1991, the only time he has performed in the county. Image, courtesy of PaulMcCartney.com. Mr. Higgins said at the time, "This is the biggest thing we have ever had at the Cornwall Coliseum. Who would have thought we'd have Paul McCartney here?" He said the rare appearance was down to a few phone calls and a bit of luck. Tickets, which were limited to 4 per person, sold out in just over 5 hours and were soon changing hands for up to £700 as fans from all over the world descended on St. Austell. Hundreds of fans stood outside the venue in sunshine as Macca ran through a sound check soon after arriving at the Coliseum with his then-wife Linda and their children. The actual set that night was full of Beatles songs: Let It Be, Sgt. Pepper, Can't Buy Me Love, The Long and Winding Road, Get Back, and I Love Her, Here, There and Everywhere, and We Can Work It Out among them. McCartney, who had last been in Cornwall with the rest of the Beatles when they filmed scenes for the Magical Mystery Tour TV movie in 1967, started by playing some raw rock and roll, including Elvis Presley's Mean Woman Blues and Gene Vincent's Bebop-A-Lula. He even snuck in a cover of Bill Withers' Ain't No Sunshine, despite there being plenty for those who had waited patiently for tickets. Paul McCartney arrives at Carlyon-Bay on June 7, 1991. Other songs played for an ecstatic crowd included Wings' Band on the Run, Ebony and Ivory, his hit with Stevie Wonder, and solo single Coming Up. Ended a whopping 35-song set with, appropriately enough, the end from the Beatles' Abbey Road album. The only other artist that saw similar queues around the block at the Coliseum was Cliff Richard, which just goes to show how musical tastes have changed in 30 years.